Hey, I'm Dan Williams. I'm here in Doha in Qatar, where the World Cup is, just a few hours away now from the big kick-off. This World Cup that Qatar won 12 years ago. Finally, the action will start on the pitch, and of course the big game, the opening game, is Qatar against Ecuador, the hosts, against the South American side that was so impressive in qualifying, finishing fourth in their qualifying group, and having draws with the likes of Brazil and Argentina in the process. We'll talk more about that. I just want to talk first a bit about the where we are right now. This is Souk Waqif. This is the main souk, the main kind of market area, full of restaurants and cafes, and this amazing market area where there are spices and crafts and art and all sorts of different things here that you can come and enjoy, really soak up the culture. But as you can see behind me, it's also full of fans as well, which are all from around the world. We've seen fans from England, I've seen fans from Spain, a lot of Ecuador fans around here earlier. Of course, they kick off, as I say, the first game here against the host. So a lot of those fans in early, but all sorts from Slovenia, seen a lot of Slovenians here. This is a very different World Cup, if you like, from previous World Cups, where often, say, the last World Cup 4 years ago in Russia, they of course had this huge expanse of space between the different host cities. Really, you can pretty much go and watch 2 or 3 games a day here during this World Cup. Very compact. Indeed, that's the one real positive. If you're a real football fan and you can afford it, you can go to game after game after game. So it means that really you have this kind of United Nations of different countries coming here and all being in the same spot as well, and including all the teams as well. You know, often you can go to, as I say, Russia 4 years ago or Brazil, and you could be, you know, a plane ride away from where one team is based to the other. So here, as you can see, we can take a bit of a walk around and give you a bit of a taste of this, of where we are. It's always full of people. I was out here a year ago, obviously, when there was no football taking place at all, and it was completely jam-packed. Take a pan around over here and take a look at what we can see. Different football shirts from different people. People really soaking up the atmosphere here. This, if anything, it's a real cultural World Cup with a difference. If you really take a look at all the positives of this element, clearly this is the first time the World Cup has been in the Middle East. It's the first time it's been held in a Muslim country, so very different for football supporters to come to a country like this and to lap up this kind of different kind of cultural atmosphere. And you can see all sorts of, there's some people up on the roof here. They're doing some live shots up there. They've obviously hired in that kind of area here, and yeah, just this kind of all sorts of different people all over, from all over the globe, coming here and seeing all that this has to offer. Look behind me, you can just see this now array of different lights coming on as well. Let's just take you through to the kind of main square through here as we talk about what to expect on the football pitch over the course of the next few weeks. So it kicks off in a couple of hours. Qatar, the hosts, up against Ecuador. That's the first game. And then after that, we have games at such a regular pace. Remember, this is a World Cup that's been a little bit more condensed than previous World Cups. So we have 3 games on Monday, followed by 4 games then pretty much every day through the group phase. So this is going to be, if you're wanting to watch some football over the next few days, you're not going to struggle, because there's going to be a lot going on. If we talk about the first game though, Qatar versus Ecuador, as these football fans from, as I say, from all over come through to enjoy this experience here. If we talk about Qatar, the big question for them is, can they get out of the group? That really is going to be the big question mark. Only once has a host nation not made it out of the group phase. That was in South Africa in 2010. So it's a fairly recent time when that has happened. And there's going to be a lot of pressure on on Qatar to try and get something out of this game. This is a group that also includes the Netherlands. It's a group that also includes Senegal as well. Both of those teams highly fancied to go much further than either Qatar or Ecuador. So it's going to be a very difficult game, really fascinating game, because both sides won't want to lose it. They're going to want to at least get a draw. If you get a defeat from that game, it's all going to be pretty much curtains for your World Cup chances with those two tough games still to come. So a draw would be okay for either side. But Qatar, in the build-up to this, I mean, there's been, their first World Cup as hosts. As hosts, they get to host, to be part of this World Cup. And it just means that how do you build a team where there hasn't been so much of a football culture, some of the traditional football cultures as, kind of France or Germany or Brazil or Argentina. Well, they've gone about it in a slightly different way. The coach, Felix Sanchez, has come in 5 years ago and he's built a real strong squad of players. And it is still going to be difficult for them, but he's managed to try and build it more like as a club. So less as a national team where the players just kind of come in and out, and sometimes, you're kind of depending on your selection. This is more of a club, so you kind of invest in a group of players, a larger group of players, and you slowly whittle it down. You try and keep that group of players together, play a lot of football, you kind of grow together. So it's going to be really interesting how they get on, and they have done pretty well. They were, Asian Cup champions in 2019. They also got to the semi-finals in the Gold Cup as well last year. So they've got some good form, it has to be said. So there is a chance, and you always want really the hosts to keep into the tournament for a little later. It keeps the buzz going within the country that you are in, keeps that going a little bit longer. So at least through to the next round would be what the hosts will be desperate to achieve. But as I say, Ecuador going to be a very, very tough game indeed as well. They've got had an amazing qualifying campaign, draws with both Argentina and Brazil, who are really favoured to go deep into this tournament. So plenty of interest going into that one. But we also have so many great games coming thick and fast as well over the course of the next few days, and we'll really get into all of those things with you here on CGTN over the next few days as well. So who's going to win? Well, that's the big question, right? Who is going to come out on top of this World Cup? Well, I was speaking to Lothar Matthäus, the 1990 World Cup winner with West Germany back then, and he was saying that he feels it's a very open World Cup, and that is one of the things that has to be remembered, that other World Cups we've often had a lot of kind of tournament friendlies and fixtures, so you get an idea of what kind of form the players are in, how well they're playing together, how the team are bonding perhaps, whether the morale in the team is looking good. Well, we really have very little of that. Most of the players here play in Europe, and they've really only just broken up from the various different Europe seasons, the various different club fixtures that they've had to fulfill. So it's going to be the potential of a few surprises. We don't really know what kind of form some of these teams are in. And Lothar Matthäus was saying that, well, he thinks it is a very open World Cup. He does think that eventually it's going to be one of the big traditional powerhouses that will come through and win that. So you're looking at France, the reigning champions, but also Brazil, Argentina, Germany, of course, is one that he also thinks is going to go far in this tournament. It's going to be interesting to see how that progresses. But the one thing that he did want to point out that he was kind of keen to see whether this develops, and that is Argentina and Lionel Messi. Can Lionel Messi, one of the world's greatest players of all time, whether he can finish his career on a high? He's never won a World Cup. He's won, you would probably argue, everything else, but not a World Cup. They are in the middle of a 35-game unbeaten run. So Argentina have got form. Messi very much at the end of his career now, desperate to have that fairy tale ending. What an ending to his career that would be, and potentially would maybe silence a few of his critics that say you can't be considered to be one of the all-time greats without that World Cup trophy in your cabinet. So that is going to be really interesting to watch. And then we'd really just have to see how the rest of that tournament progresses. As I say, there's a number of players that are out injured. The likes of Senegal's Sadio Mane, one of the latest players, Karim Benzema from France. Both of those top players out of this tournament. Again, that football season in Europe finishing very late indeed, so you only have to pick up an injury a few weeks to go and that can rule you out of this World Cup, and that's what's happened. It has robbed us of a few of these top players, but there's still plenty of other players that are potentially going to stand up and really show what they're made of. And we always see, don't we, some of those shock players that come in, really make a name for themselves at a World Cup, and we can't wait to see whether that happens here at this World Cup as well. So that's really my thoughts on where this World Cup will go. If you're asking me to bet, I would say Argentina will win this World Cup. There's a children's train coming through behind us, just so you know. This is, in fact, let's finish this live chat by just showing you what's over here. There's the train going. As I give you my thoughts as to who is likely to win this World Cup, well, that would be my bet. The Argentinians, I think, are going to be one of the key favourites for this. I'm with Lothar Matthäus on that one. As an England-born, I still have thoughts that maybe England, it could be their time. They did get to the final of the last Euros. But I just thought we'd kind of come out here just to show you maybe the last image of this live cross, just to underline how different this World Cup is going to be for your average soccer fan. You can have a camel ride here as well, if that's something that, this is just around the little bit of square here. You can actually go out into the desert and do this properly if you want as well, but if you just want to get up close to a camel, you can do that. So that just kind of underlines how this World Cup maybe differs from some others. But it is going to be a really interesting one as time goes on. And I do think that, well, maybe England's got a chance. It'd be nice if maybe one of the teams that haven't, if it's not England and it's not Lionel Messi, maybe we could have a team that hasn't won it before. That would also be good. But it's just going to be really fascinating to see all of these games, 4 games a day, once this World Cup really gets underway. And that's going to just be wall-to-wall football for a fan like me. That's what it's really all about as well. So really looking forward to getting this tournament now underway. Thank you very much for watching.